When's the next one? Is it next week?
We gotta get going, don't we?
No. Flying a little naked.
Good?
Yeah, I'm good.
You good? Good evening. I'd like to go ahead and call to order our Monday, May 16th meeting. The first item is invocation and pledge led by Councilwoman Ms. Bowers.
Let us pray silently together, each one of us, according to our individual beliefs. Let us offer thanks for our blessings and for one another. Let us be a source of hope for those in need and contentment for those who are lonely. Let us give gratitude for our opportunity to serve the city of Gahanna.
Thank you.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, item B, the additions or corrections to the agenda. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Angelou,
Here.
Bowers,
Here.
McGregor,
Here.
Padova,
Here.
Renner,
Here.
Schnetzer,
Present.
Weaver.
Here.
Thank you. Now, item B, additions or corrections to our agenda. Are there any? Thank you. Item C, hearing of visitors. I do have a handful of speaker slips, but before we do that, Mayor, I believe you have a proclamation.
I do, and I will just do that from my seat. This is actually, Council, we've talked for several months now about procolations, a joint proclamation or joint resolution between the Mayor's office and the City of Council. So in working with Council President, we have come up with a joint resolution, and in talking with our Assistant City Attorney, I don't believe that it's one that Council needs to vote on. Every council member would sign it, but this is a resolution, a joint resolution to honor the memory and life of Elizabeth Bobby Burba. As many of you know, Bobby passed away over the weekend. Well, it feels like it was over the weekend, just a few days ago. Bobby was just a tremendous spirit. I think every one of you have met her at some point. She's a tremendous and dedicated servant to the city of Gahanna. She, back in, I think, 1999, was one of the founding board members for Gahanna Events, which was a nonprofit organization that was created by then Economic Development Director Sadiqa White to put events on for the city. And in her role on that board, along with her sisters, as we shall call them, she was one of the founding creators of the Holiday Lights Parade, which at that time was the only lighted parade in Central Ohio for the holidays. I got to know Bobby personally. She was on the board of directors of the Gahanna Convention and Visitors Bureau, where she served as an officer, both as treasurer and past president, and she loved to volunteer for the Blues and Jazz Festival with Councilwoman Angelou. They always had to be together in volunteering, year after year after year. But in addition to that, she served on Charter Review Commission, was a Planning Commission member, and I know she thoroughly enjoyed being in that role. And her experience in finance, working for Heartland Bank, where she retired as a vice president, certainly brought a lot to the table in dealing with all of those organizations in which she participated. So this is a joint resolution to be signed by the mayor and each individual council member, honoring the memory and service of Ms. Burba to our Gahanna community. So I don't know the best way to do this. I can pass this throughout the council meeting, or we can sign it afterward, councilman, however you'd like.
You could just pass it down and we'll take turns.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, thank you very much for working on that jointly. Bobby will definitely be missed. She and the sisters, Karen, Sadiqa, and Carla were actually some of the first people that I met when I got engaged with Gahanna, and Bobby was also a member of the West Side and a member of our planning commission, so she will definitely be missed. Hearing of visitors, the next groups. When I call your name, I would like you to actually please step forward and state your name and address for the record, and then you will have 3 minutes. The first is Ali Ramont.
Hello, you guys hear me okay?
No.
Yeah?
Speak a little bit closer to
Oh,
the,
you hear it now?
perfect.
Okay. Hi, I'm Allie Romont. I live at 502 Theory Avenue. So right off of Clark State Road. There's a bunch of us here today, and the main reason is we are wanting support to get a sidewalk or bike route, at least from Theory Avenue, that Gahanna Green area, down Clark State, which if you've ever driven Clark State, you know how busy that can be. There's really no place to walk or ride your bike safely. And we wanted to go to the existing sidewalk at the Lutheran Church. So, just to talk about our little community, and we've got a good force here tonight. Theory Avenue is kind of like that collection of older homes before you get in that nice section of High Point, those bigger homes. And we have made it a point to really come together as families. A lot of us have kids in High Point and under. I counted at least 25 homes just on Theory and Bugle Court that have kids in the school system, and mostly in High Point or under. So we're looking to connect ourselves with Creekside and the new library coming in, and make sure that our kids can walk safely to high school. It's important to us. A lot of us are bikers, runners, marathon runners. We see high school kids already walking on Clark State, and to me that's really concerning. I know there's a larger plan that some people are going to talk about of getting Clark State a bikeway all the way to Hanna Park. But for our purposes, we really just want to be able to head to Creekside on our bike trails. With our bikes and our kids behind. We want to go to Rusty Bucket and go get some chocolate at Anthony Thomas and support local businesses. I'm a local business owner. I run my business out of my house, but I understand how important it is to support local, and we want to do that. We're at Creekside all the time. You can see our kids here now. They're not even in kindergarten, some of them that had to come with us tonight. And so, we know this would be a good thing for businesses. And supporting all that. What else did I write down? We want to go to the Jazz and Blues Festival and bike and not have to park our cars in that small area downtown. I'd love to walk to the Christmas festival that we have and the Halloween stuff. So for us, that matters. And, we've kind of come together as a community in Gahanna Green, but also the Foxborough community, and then all the way down to Hanna Park. We've heard parents especially asking for this safe way for us to get down there and get down there with our kids. So thank you for listening to us and having us here tonight. And thank you, Trenton, for supporting our area of town.
Thank you. You got your built-in cheerleaders. All right, the next one is Justin Garton.
Hello. Hi, I'm Justin Garton, 683 Parliament. Is that how that goes?
Yep.
All right. I made some notes. I'm going to read a little bit. A lot of this has already been said, but it bears repeating. I'll start off. I'm a very avid bike rider. I'm also a teacher at the high school and a Gahanna community member. I live in Gahanna Green with my family. Couple children. We love to get outside, and I'm here tonight for the same reason, because there are a lot of people in my neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods who feel strongly that we need some sort of multi-purpose trail or bike trail or something running down Clark State Road to Hamilton, or at least connecting with the church there. As a biker, I've always kind of selfishly wanted one so that I don't have to shake my fist at traffic. But it wasn't until I started connecting with the other members of the community here that I realized that I'm not the only one who wants this. And not all of them are bikers, but they do value connection the same way that I do. And that's why I was so pumped to hear that there are these projects on the way to connect the trails in Gahanna, which is awesome, and to connect the community to Creekside, which is another great place that I love going. I think I saw you down there this weekend. But it's also why I was kind of bummed that there's not that trail that's kind of part of the plan that goes down Clark State Road. And it would serve so many communities like my own, and Foxborough and Deer Run and Rose Run and Bryn Mawr, and probably several others. And it'd be really awesome to ride down and or walk down with my family and go to the Jazz Fest or Christmas celebrations, or countless other community events. Those are all somewhat selfish reasons, though. If I want to get a little altruistic, every day I see kids walking down Clark State Road. And I polled my students today. They're sophomores. And over 2/3 of them have some sort of extracurriculars that require them to stay after school. And buses don't run at that point. I don't think I need to tell you all that, but they're on their own for their transportation, and a lot of them walk because they have to, and there's not really anywhere for them to walk. So they're either trudging through some sort of like damp ditches, or they're on the literal street beside cars doing 40 miles per hour, or 35 if they're obeying the law. But there's no sidewalk, no trail, nothing for them to walk on. And we've seen a lot of tragedy in our community the last few years. And to be honest, this feels like another one that's kind of waiting to happen. And it's completely avoidable. So I don't see the sense of not going forward with some sort of idea that benefits so many and has some demand in the community and avoids potential disaster. And my wife would probably worry a little bit less when I'm biking. So it'd be cool if we could extend her life expectancy too. That's all.
Thank you. Hey. Christy Parker.
Hello, I'm Christy Parker, 532 Theory Avenue. So I am also from the Gahanna Greens crew. I wanted to thank you first for quickly responding to our inquiries and changing the agenda at the Committee of a Whole meeting, providing us with all the open communication and updates. That was really awesome. And I truly do feel like I understand all the complexities and challenges involved with the county and Jefferson Township, so I feel in the know, and I appreciate that clear communication. I wanted to bring attention to the portion of the trail that largely wasn't talked about during the meeting, that little portion that goes from the Peace Lutheran Church that starts to head up to Clark State Road, but then stops. And then from that point to Theory, it's about 0.38 miles. And that's the most important piece of the trail to me. So we're talking 2,000 feet. If you want to put it in feet, just filling in that small trail would have huge benefits to my family and my neighbors and the neighbors of the surrounding area. Just to give you an idea of how small that is, if you walked from this building to the corner of Havens and Hamilton and then walked halfway back, that would be not even all the way halfway back, but that would be about 2,000 feet. So very small portion. Just filling that in would have a big impact. So I worked with some neighbors to create an overview of some of the benefits of living in a walkable community, which I think Amy already handed out. And I'm not going to go through it. I don't have time to go through it all, but I'm more rely on the written word than speaking. I'm not a public speaker. I just wanted to, I know everyone here knows the importance of connectivity and living in a walkable community. I just wanted to bring it as a reminder. And when you read it, I hope you read it with the frame of mind that you are the champions of our neighborhood, and we look to you to be creative problem solvers and fight through those complexities and be our superheroes. So just a reminder that this is not just about giving people leisurely activity. This really has real positive effects on our neighborhood. Neighborhood safety, bike rider, pedestrian walkers, safety, giving us access to trails to increase our physical and mental health, improve our happiness, even boost the economy of Gahanna businesses and walkable communities. People living in walkable communities report a better quality of life. So I kindly ask you, please don't stop, please don't give up, and please don't scrap the whole project just because this larger portion is going to be costly and require a lot of resources. Please be creative in how you think about this with the emphasis on that 2,000 feet trail. I personally believe that something that small with big consequences for a lot of people should be a priority. So thank you.
Thank you. Love hearing the children. Chrissy Kaminsky, please.
Hi, I'm Chrissy Kaminsky at 494 Theory Avenue, and just going to be echoing a little bit of what we've heard. We're obviously quite motivated here, but thank you, Councilman Weaver. He's in our ward, and he's been representing us in this, and I know that a lot of us have reached out. I've also reached out to Mr. Renner as well, but I know that Gahanna values connectivity, and there is a big hole right now in connecting our neighborhood and the High Point neighborhood to Creekside. So this could go a long way in giving us a safe path to get us to the central part of Gahanna where the events take place. So from what we've heard is that this is managed by Franklin County, so as you can see that we are quite motivated. If there are contacts or anything that we can do, people that we can reach out to with them, we are obviously willing to do so as well. So that is a task that if there's anything council can think of that we can do, we are happy to reach out and let them know that we are motivated to have this happen. But I just wanted to add my voice and say that there are so many families there in this neighborhood, in this High Point neighborhood, and we're all active, and we just want to have a safer path to get to Creekside.
Thank you.
Can we have her at every meeting?
You know, Mayor, that's an excellent question. The kids we want back. All right, I have one more speaker slip, and those who have come in a little bit late, if you do want to speak, we do have speaker slips at the back by the door in the podium, or our clerk can certainly hand you one, just FYI. The last one I have for this evening is Jill Rudler.
Hi, my name is Jill Rudler, and I live at 218 West Main Street in New Albany, and I do not live in Gahanna Green. However, I may have sold some of you your homes because I'm a realtor. I've run a business in the Ohio District, House District 4 for the last 35 years. I've sold over 5,000 homes, and I'm running for state representative for the Gahanna, New Albany, and Westerville areas. So it should end up being inclusive of Gahanna based on last I've heard, but it's not finalized yet. So if there's anything I can say about that is that selling 5,000 homes, you spend a lot of time negotiating, sitting across the table from people. You get to know what their concerns are: safety, schools, obviously connectability. And so I feel like I've been a little bit of a hostage negotiator at times, bringing people together, which is what I'd like to do at the State House. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that completes the speaker slips. Clerk, are there any additional? Okay, no. Thank you. All right, consent agenda, item D. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
So moved, Mr. President.
I have a first by Mr. Stetzer. Is there a second? Second. A second by Ms. Angelou. Any discussion? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Schnetzer.
Yes.
Angelou.
Yes.
Bowers.
Yes.
McGregor.
Yes.
Padova.
Yes.
Renner.
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, consent agenda is passed. Now, item E, resolutions. We have one. It's with our great pleasure. I'm going to read the resolution into the record. Resolution 0012-2022, a resolution recognizing May as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month in the city of Gahanna. Do I have a motion to adopt said resolution?
So moved, Mr. President.
Have a first by Ms. Bowers.
Second.
Have a second by Mr. Schnetzer. Any discussion? All right, what I'd like to actually do, this resolution is short, it's sweet, it's to the point. I'd like to actually read it because we have a lot of people here in the audience for this. Whereas the month of May is recognized nationally as a time to learn about the heritage of Asian American and Pacific Islanders, AAPIs celebrate the contribution of AAPIs and understand the marginalization of AAPI that has occurred throughout generations. Whereas AAPIs are one of the fastest growing groups in Central Ohio, over 53,000 or nearly 15% of Ohio's total AAPI population residing in the Columbus suburbs. Whereas the city of Gahanna endeavors to strengthen the bonds of belonging and among all people so that all are seen, heard, welcomed, and valued in our community, including AAPIs. And whereas the city of Gahanna's success as a city includes vital contributions made every day by AAPIs in the areas of government, business, medicine, arts, sciences, education, military, and nonprofits. Whereas the city of Gahanna is proud to celebrate and recognize the cultural diversity woven into the fabric of our community. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Gahanna, County of Franklin, State of Ohio, Section 1, that the City of Gahanna hereby recognizes May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. 2, Section 2, that this council encourages all residents to join in remembering the history of AAPIs, honoring the sacrifices and contributions made by AAPIs to the success and vitality of our city and nation, and commit to the strengthening the bonds of belonging for all that live and work in the city of Gahanna. Section 3, that this resolution shall be in full force and effect at the earliest period allowed by law. Any further discussion?
I believe there's an additional speaker slip,
Oh,
maybe on this topic.
thank you. Oh, wonderful. We have a speaker. I would like to actually go ahead and welcome this person to speak because it's on this resolution. Dr. Young Chin Liu. Dr. Liu, welcome. State your name and your address for the record.
Thank you. My name's Yung Chen Lu. I'm not a citizen in Gahanna. However, I'm the founder of the Asian Festival in Central Ohio. I'm also a professor emeritus in the mathematics department at OSU. And I'm so honored to hear that you are honoring the AAPI community in Gahanna. This is really to our honor, and we do appreciate what you are doing for us. I'm not only the founder of the Asian Festival, I'm also the founder of Ohio AAPI Advisory Council to the governor, and I established that in 2010. Now, this year, unfortunately, we still cannot have the in-person Asian Festival. As you know, that the Asian Festival always take place at Franklin Park because we do not have any gates, and therefore we cannot check on anyone. Therefore, we are still doing virtually on May 28th, 29th. Every year, the Asian Festival will take place during the Memorial Day weekend. As you are honoring AAPI community, we are also doing in the month of May to honor our heritage. So hopefully that next year you can continue to support us, and it is really deeply appreciated. Next year, I'm almost sure that we're going to have in-person Asian Festival. In fact, I found that in 1994, and our inaugural year, we had only 12,000 people. And we plateaued for the last several years at 160,000, and which is the largest Asian festival in the whole country. And our Columbus mayor, previous mayor, Michael Coleman, announced that many, many times. And we are very proud to share that with you, and hopefully we can get your continuing support. Thank you so much.
Dr. Liu, I deeply appreciate your comments. I'd like to direct you and everybody else to our sidewall, to the scroll. That has history that's deeply important to me, and I have been very blessed with a council and administration that continues to support. But the Chinese program here in Gahanna, and it's integrated with our schools. And in 2013, we started a program where we invited the Chinese students that visited. Unfortunately, we can't do that for obvious reasons anymore, but we invited them here to teach them about local government. And they presented a scroll, and it will stay on that wall. So, thank you.
Time is limited. However, the academics will be unlimited, and you can study.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion on this very important resolution? Okay. With that, Jeremy, please call the roll.
Bowers,
Yes.
Schnetzer,
Yes.
McGregor,
Yes.
Padova,
Yes.
Renner,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Angelou.
Yes.
Resolution passes. Congratulations. And thank you, really, for the members of the AAPI community that I know that many of you have many other functions that are happening, but thank you for taking the time to come down here and witness this. Thank you. Item F, ordinances for introduction and first reading. I'm going to read these into the record. Ordinance 0025, 2022, an ordinance to adopt amendments to Gahanna Code, Section 521.06, construction, repair, and replacement of sidewalks, integral approaches, aprons, and related areas. Another ordinance, Ordinance 0026-2022, an ordinance authorizing a supplemental appropriation, North Triangle and Johnstown Road TIF funds. Item G, correspondence and actions. Jeremy, do you have anything?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Colleagues on council, do we have anything? All right, thank you. Item H, representatives, Community Improvement Corporation. I'll just announce I don't have anything in addition to the report that I gave 2 weeks ago. Our next meeting is May 24th at 8 o'clock in the committee rooms. And I just want to remind my colleagues again that the first joint council CIC meeting takes place June 21st at 7:30 at the golf course. Okay, Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission, MORPC, Ms. Angelou.
Thank you. I'm going to bring up a couple things here that happened at the MORPC meeting last Thursday. I have a thing here, thank God for William Murdoch, the director, who always gives us these wonderful little things to be able to bring back to our people that are in our communities. We did have a wonderful guest in the afternoon for lunch, and it was Amy Acton. I think we all know her very well from COVID. Oh, I don't even want to say it. COVID-19 stuff. Let's forget about it now. She is a wonderful person, and she was there to meet with us concerning Rapid 5, which is, you will know Mayor Jadwin is going to be very, very much in part of this, part of what we're talking about. But she's going to be taking over at the table of this Rapid 5, and I love the things that I'm going to give you. 3 things, the pillars that she's working for: envision, engage, and explore. I think they're all wonderful things, and I think I'll have a little bit of statements here that I can read to you about her. She was there, we loved her very much, and she's going to be at the Morpsey 111 Liberty Street. She's going to have a room there for her to work. We began with a special lunchtime conversation to learn about the next steps for Rapid 5 project, and it was led by Dr. Amy Acton. A new nonprofit is being created in partnership with Yulee, Columbus, and Morpsey, and will advance the effort to support and build this inspiring vision with communities across the region. And if you've seen the book, it's about this thick. So it's going to be a wonderful action, and she's going to be a perfect person to do this. This is a thing about dreamers and people that are dreamers. Always, most of them are at Morpsey, I have to say that. Total dreamers, and they usually make their things come true. And she is also a dreamer. Miss Acton, or Dr. Acton, is a dreamer too, and is just excited about working on this project. We have some action items. The registered for Intel funding opportunities session. That's Morrissey serves as a resource to navigate the impacts and opportunities related to the Intel project, which is going to have some significant type of thing for our community as well. We are in the area where that's going to be, and we look forward to being part of this huge project. On May 17th from 9 to 10:30, we are hosting a meeting to discuss funding opportunities around the site and in the immediate area. This will be limited to 1 person per community. Attending Morpsey Attributable Funding Workshop for Communities in Metropolitan Planning Organization. This workshop will provide potential Morpsey attributable funding applicants with funding eligibility, the application process, evaluation criteria, and program requirements. And that will be on May 18th, 2:30 to 4:30. We'll register for a passenger rail lunch program. Morpsey is partnering with Mid-Ohio Regional Exchange to review Central Ohio's readiness for passenger rail. This will be a lunch networking. We had in our May board meeting highlights, Executive Director of the Ohio National Guard Association, Tom Calhoun, shared an update regarding ONGA and the National Guard Association of the United States. This hosts its conference in Columbus, Ohio, on August 26th through the 29th, and they'll be bringing about 5,000 guests from all 54 states and territories to Central Ohio. Along with the transportation resolutions mentioned below, resolutions were adopted to allow Morpsey to enter into agreements with and receive funds from United States Department of Transportation and the Ohio Department of Transportation, as well as to administer funding for the Rapid 5 organization over its first year. Don't hesitate to contact Morpsey if you want to ask more questions on that. We have some committee updates. Metropolitan Planning Organization. The Transportation Review Advisory Council is currently taking applications for major new projects. We reviewed an update on the Route 23 Connect study, which is foregoing the concepts presented in the study to develop a series of future incremental improvements along the corridor. The resolution accepted Morpsey's 2023 Planning Work Program, which includes almost $7 million in funding. Resolutions passed to adopt the policies for managing Morpsey attributable funds and to self-certify Morpsey's planning process as an MPO. As an update in the $600,000 brownfield assessment grant administered by MORPC was provided, highlighting the work performed on 15 different properties across the region in Hocking, Franklin, and Ross counties. The Regional Data Advisory Committee, the Ohio State Center for Urban and Regional Analysis, recently were approved by the National Neighborhood Indicators Partnership to be to be lead co-partners for Central Ohio, allowing for more learning opportunities and best practices. The Regional Roundtable, I think, is tomorrow, if I'm not correct, and work has begun on the next iteration of MORPC's public policy agenda. The legislative update highlighted the upcoming state capital budget member, directed spending on the federal level, redistricting, and upcoming American Rescue Plan Act funding. And we also reviewed work to support our region's defense assets, including information on an IGSA. Sustainable Advisory Committee, of which Mayor Jadwin is the vice chair. The committee recently met to discuss sustainability, and Intel provide working group updates and plan for a summit on sustainability, which will be October 14th, so mark your calendars. Clean Ohio funding was recently awarded to Columbus, Hilliard, and Metro Parks. We have more updating events beyond inclusion, building a community of belonging. That will be 10 to 12, May 24th at MORPC. In partnership with the YWCA, MORPC members and staff can receive a discounted rate to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion session. MORPC Night at the Clippers, always fun. The last time, unfortunately, it was raining, but we're not going to have rain this time for sure. Join us at the Clippers game for networking and to watch MORPC Vice Chair Chris Almaro's grooms throw out the first pitch on June 14th. I have done this myself, and it's very, very, very exciting for all of us to know that we can actually do this. And I want you to know, I threw a strike. So I've already told Chris Almaro's grooms that she better have a really good one. And she actually has a Major League Baseball player that is working with her. So I'm sure she's going to be just terrific. If there are tickets there, we hope we can invite people to come. It's going to be in the Tansky seats. The NARC 56th Annual Conference, also coming to Columbus, Ohio for the first time ever, will be June 12th to 15th at Hilton Columbus downtown. The National Associations of Regional Councils Conferences is the largest national event focused on promoting effective regional cooperation and solutions through interaction and education. We also have another conference right after that, the Ohio Conference on Freight, June 15th and 16th at the Greater Columbus Convention Center. The Ohio Conference on Freight attracts professionals from the private, public sectors and from across the U.S. and Canada. That's going to be a very large one, too. Columbus International Summit, 10 to 12 p.m., 10 a.m. to 12 p.m., June 25th at Linden Community Center. This event will provide resources to our immigrant, migrant, and refugee community members. Riverfest is coming June 11th and 12th, Ohio Association of Regional Councils Gubernatorial Forum, August 26th at Hilton Columbus. Summit on Sustainability, I think I already mentioned, and 2023 State of the Region will be April 6th, 2023. Hopefully those who attend the board meetings were able to meet with our new people there, Megan Stein, MORPC's new Economic Development Officer, and our new Research and Data Advisor, Adam Poor, will be joining our next meeting. We're excited to have all of these things. We are having so many things happening, and I'd like to say that to, did he leave? No, I guess he did. The gentleman who was here before,
Dr. Lou.
Dr. Lou. I was able to meet him when I was, Neil Juris was receiving one of her things that she wins, like every other day. And it was just wonderful to be around that group of people. And he was just a terrific person to be there too. So I think that's all I have for tonight. Is it enough, or should I go on?
No, that's enough. Thank you,
I
Karen.
really would like to say a little bit more about Dr. Acton, but I'm sure that we're going to be hearing a lot from her in the future. And this is going to be an exceptional thing to happen with Rapid 5. So thank you so much.
Anytime you want to invite Dr. Acton to Gahanna, she would be welcome.
Oh, I'm sure she would come. We'll do that.
She was lovely.
Yes, she's lovely. She is just lovely. And again, with her husband being a capital, I feel like I'm part of the family. You know, Pleasant, they live on Pleasant Avenue in Bexley. And, you know, it's just, you know, terrific to have somebody with this energy. And she's just raring to go. So, thank you.
Thank you. Convention and Visitors Bureau, Ms. Padova.
Thank you. Despite the weather, the Herb Day was very successful. There are still a handful of plants for sale at the Herb Center, and they are discounted. There are still volunteers needed for Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival. So with our large audience tonight, if you are interested in signing up, you can go to creeksidebluesandjazz.com. They are still looking for paid opportunities for groups to work the admission gates and the beverage stations. So this is a great fundraising opportunity for groups. You can contact Kaylee Bowe if you're interested in volunteering as a service group. Also, the midweek at the Creek is going to start on Wednesday, June 1st. There will be live music on the plaza from 6 to 8. This is the second year that this will be the second year that they've done this. The Ohio Herb Center will have tea tastings during midweek at the Creek, and they will also be offering discounts in the gift shop. The farmers market is also going to be happening in the city public parking lot near the sanctuary from 4 to 7 on Wednesdays. So there are lots of good reasons to come to Creekside on Wednesdays. That is all I have.
Thank you. School Board, Mrs. Bowers.
Yes, thank you. So the last day of school is coming up. I think anybody who's a student knows you have 6 days left of school. There's a countdown going on in my house already. I did want to note that the district received grant funding. Their form of ARPA, they've received ESSER funds, and that is creating some really great opportunities for students who maybe didn't start preschool or didn't start daycare programs because they were interrupted by COVID. There is a pre-K experience in kindergarten enhancement program that is being offered for free. You have to register by June the 1st. That'll be held at Chapel Field Elementary, and more details on that can be found on the GahannaSchools.org website. There will also be preschool classes, reading and math improvement for grades 1 through 4, and language arts and math improvement for grades 5 through 8. So if I know that we've had a rough couple of years for our students, so if any of those sound like good fits for your family, I wanted to make sure that folks knew that those options were out there. I also wanted to make sure everybody on council knew that there is a new superintendent that was selected. Dr. Tracy Deagle will be assuming full superintendent duties on August 1st of this year. But starting tomorrow, Dr. Deagle will serve as a part-time consultant and begin visiting buildings to meet staff and introduce herself to the GJPS community. Dr. Deagle has over 22 years of experience in public education. She's currently an assistant professor of preschool through 12 educational leadership at Mercer University in Atlanta. But prior to that, she was serving as the deputy superintendent at Dublin City Schools, was a principal at Ann Simpson Davis Middle School, and had taught for 8 years in Van Wert City Schools, I think in the northwest part of the state. So we are looking forward to meeting Dr. Deagle, and congratulations to the board. I know that was a difficult process, and the board put a lot of hours into soliciting community feedback, working with their professional services team to help them find candidates, and then working with community members to select a replacement superintendent, a new superintendent. That, I believe, is all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Item I, official reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who is in attendance this evening. It has been a while since we have seen a full chambers. So whether you were here tonight because of the AAPI resolution that was issued, or to share your concerns about your neighborhood, or just to observe and see what's happening in your community, I want to thank you. Having an engaged community, having residents who are interested, who want to know what's going on, I think is paramount to the success of any community. So thank you very much for being here. And if I could speak just for a moment, I totally appreciate and share your desire for neighborhoods that are fully connected with walkability. We know that trails, sidewalks, paths are all very important to our residents. I think we've done surveys for years that have told us that. And we've made great progress in Gahanna in the development of our trails. This year we are finally getting the design work done on the last section of the Big Walnut Trail, Section 8, which will be the regional connector for Gahanna North-South. I don't know if you had a chance to watch last week's council meeting, but one of the things that we did share is that we are currently seeking funding for an active transportation plan for the development of one. And what that will help us do, and council as well, just as a refresher, is to create that plan for sidewalks, trails, multimodal pathways, safe crosswalks throughout the community. Because now that we have that north-south regional corridor done, we have to work on all the trails that go east-west and kind of those spur trails. So certainly the Clark State area will be an area that we will look at once we get the funding for that active transportation plan as that rolls out. So we hear you, and I appreciate you making your voices present tonight as well. In the meantime, please know that I and our members of our team, some of our staff members are here tonight. We're happy to talk to you at any time and answer any questions that you might have. A couple of community things happening. This Friday is the opening of the new splash pad at the Gahanna swimming pool. I'm really excited because there's going to be a ceremonial bucket dump, and it's supposed to be 88. I was afraid it was going to be 58, so 88 actually is looking fine for me right now, but that's at 3:30 p.m. We invite all of council and the public to attend that as well. The Gahanna swimming pool is an area where our residents have long and loud spoken that they wanted more amenities there, so to be able to add the splash pad as a pool amenity is extremely important, but it will also be open to the public at certain hours. And I think the pool's open May 28th, but from the time of the next Friday, or this Friday, the 20th, it will be open to the public until the pool's open on the 28th, and then in the hours before the pool opens once that happens. Next Thursday, May 26th, we have our economic development event that was rescheduled. Due to the availability of our speaker, we had to postpone that, but it is next Thursday evening. It will be at the Creekside Conference and Event Center, and our topic is the impact of Intel, how Gahanna is preparing for growth today and tomorrow. And very excited to have Lieutenant Governor John Husted, who will be the speaker, to talk about the impacts of Intel from a statewide perspective and from a regional perspective. He really has been the leader of that project throughout, and really understanding what the state is doing in terms of preparation for that project and how that trickles down to Gahanna is going to be extremely important. And then we will be talking about what we are already seeing in Gahanna. What we're already receiving inquiries, what that looks like, how we are preparing, and what we can expect to happen here in Gahanna as a result of that mega project that's going to be a mere 10 to 20 minutes away from us. This week is also National Police Week. It's a week that's set aside to honor and remember officers lost in the line of duty. So just take a moment to thank our officers. I know we are always very open with our expressions of thanks and gratitude for our Gahanna PD, but especially this week. If you have blue light bulbs, go ahead and put those in your outside lights this week. It's a great week to honor and remember those who serve our community. Finally, on not so great news, well, it's bittersweet news. This Wednesday will be the last day for our city engineer, John Moorhead, with the city of Gahanna. Man, yeah, you know, as a leader, you always want to see your team members grow and move on and succeed in what they're doing. John has accepted a position as the Director of Public Service for the City of Worthington, which is a tremendous step for him in his career progression. Personally, I'm devastated, and I'm going to nail his door shut so he doesn't leave on Wednesday. But this is, again, a tremendous opportunity for him. He has served the city of Gahanna well. He takes with him a breadth of knowledge and experience that will be difficult to replace for us, but I also know that we have a great, next man up, in this case, next woman up. And our Assistant City Engineer, Caitlin Ridge, will be appointed Interim City Engineer, and she and John have been working very closely since she began about a year ago with us, and she already has her hands well around the projects that we have here. One of the things I do want to let council know that as we've been looking to how we go forward with this change, I kind of view an opportunity like this, or anytime we have a change like this, as an opportunity to look at what we're doing. The engineering department, engineering division, really has grown. Now we have 5 positions within that department division that we are looking, not all of which looking to fill. I think we'll have 2 opening now. As our capital projects, the number of our capital projects have escalated, as the number of our private development projects have escalated, the division's workload really has expanded tremendously. And they not only work with public service, but they interface regularly with planning and development and parks and recreation. So with that, it seems to make sense to separate public service and engineering as it once was. They used to be 2 separate departments. So we're looking to do that. From a budget standpoint, it would really not make any difference because engineering already has their own line items within the budget. The one change would be, we would be looking to, and we'll be bringing this to council next week, would be to elevate the position of city engineer to a director of engineering position. Not only because of the separation of the department, but also because the engineering sector right now is extremely tight. I know Council President Renner and I have had conversations around open positions in his department at the county. The Franklin County engineer, Cornell Robertson, and I have had conversations around the number of engineering positions open in his office, and there's multiple positions open throughout. So it's our belief that elevating that position to a director of engineering role would give us greater ability to attract and recruit a quality candidate for that very critical position in the city. But I hope you will all join us. John's going away parties Wednesday at Coach's. At what time? 5? You're just showing up, right? You're just showing up, right? But in the meantime, I just want to thank you. For all that you've done for the city of Gahanna. I know that every single one of you have reached out to John at some point, and he has always been patient and knowledgeable with regard to sharing his expertise and his insights working with residents, and whether it's talking to council, presenting to council, or talking to a resident on a street, he has been professional and dedicated in every aspect of that, and I personally am going to miss you a great deal. So thank you for all that you've done. With that, I'm concluded. Thank you.
Thank you on that somber note. Any comments from our city attorney office? Ray, you look a little different today.
Ray is out playing with Kodiak bears, I think. Nothing to report at this time, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, item J, council comment. Ms. Angelou.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I wish our now going out of the city of Gahanna engineer, I wish you all the very, very best. Now, I've already talked to Matt Greason, so if you have any problems with him, I can just call. Okay. No, he's looking forward. I know he's really a terrific person to work for, and I'm sure you're going to be very happy. How do you mend a broken heart? You know, it's kind of hard. I'd like to talk a little bit about Bobby. Maybe. Bobby was a worker, a servant. She would work in all things she was asked to do. Whether it was the Charter Commission, the Planning Commission, the president of the Gahanna events, the CVB, the CIC, it just goes on and on. She was a good friend. Tiny McComb. I don't know if any of you knew Tiny McComb, but he was the president of Heartland Bank. He made Heartland Bank, he and his wife. They made Heartland Bank. Tiny has passed away. But he chose to find Bobby, and Bobby, because Bobby was such a great, great person to have in that bank. And when that happened, I thought to myself, this woman must have a whole lot going on. And Tani saw her great talent and made her, at one point, the first woman vice president for the Heartland Bank. And she was totally deserving of that, too. Besides that, she was funny. She was a joker. We have the sisters. I can tell, I was getting together to about 25, 26 pictures of the sisters, and I think I was the last person to come in as a sister, and I couldn't wait because we always would have so much to talk about. So how do you mend a broken heart? You just say goodbye. And I know that Bobby, the people of this community, will always remember her. And tomorrow is her movement into the cemetery, and there will be people there, I think a lot of people coming to see that. So with God's blessing, I think she's probably laughing at me right now because I'm ready to cry, and she would never want that. So with that, Bobby, we'll be seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. McGregor.
I want to wish John the best. He was always very patient with answering all my questions I sent to him, and I really appreciate that because sometimes they're kind of off the wall. I want to talk, this weekend, we have 7 grandchildren in Gahanna Jefferson School System, and it was a big weekend. They had the prom Saturday night, over 850 kids. I saw a posting by some of the high school chaperones. They said the kids were beautiful, they were dressed nicely, they were kind and polite, they had a great time. Anytime you get 850 people in a room, especially 850 teenagers, it's quite an achievement to have that happen. They said they were well behaved and it was just a great time. I know my 3 granddaughters had a wonderful time, and I appreciate all the efforts that the high school went to allow them to have that this year. Last night we went to the choir concert at the high school. It was the last concert, and another great event. They had so many good performances, and the high school, it was a big weekend for the high school. They had a great attendance. There were hardly any empty seats. There were some sitting in the lobby. In fact, they had chairs set up in the lobby. But another great event, and I really appreciate the schools. Again, after a couple years of not being able to have these events, I appreciate all the efforts that have gone into the school, or that the school has put into having these events for the kids again. So I know it was much appreciated. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Padova.
Thanks. I just want to echo the mayor's comments and thank everybody for coming out tonight, and also for sticking through the whole meeting. A lot of people will come for these and do their part and leave, and so thank you all for sticking around, and especially the ones with the little children falling asleep in your laps. And so please stay engaged and reach out and let us know if there's anything we can help you with in the future. That's all for me.
Thank you. Mr. Weaver?
Thank you, Mr. President. I also want to extend my thanks and gratitude to our city engineer, John Moorhead, and wish him well in his next endeavor. As a new council member, I appreciated Mr. Moorhead's patience and willingness to sit down with me after the barrage of emails started right away, and I am certainly not an engineer, so I appreciated his time, and I know he will serve the city of Worthington well. As Councilmember Angelou indicated, the Regional Policy Roundtable meeting is tomorrow at 11:30. I'll be there, and I look forward to a more comprehensive report at our next council meeting. I also want to thank my colleagues for the 2 resolutions this evening. One, certainly recognizing and celebrating May as Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and celebrating the life and legacy of Bobby Burba. Only had the opportunity to meet her a few times, but every time was just a wonderful human being, and I extend my condolences to all who loved and knew her, and thank her for being a dedicated servant to our community. had the opportunity this past week, along with Council Member Bowers, to attend the Columbus Metropolitan Club luncheon this past Wednesday about is Columbus an age-friendly city? And the topic was really interesting. I know my family is certainly looking at this. I don't want to say issue, but for lack of a better term, the concern about my parents who are aging. The baby boomer generation is nearing that age where it's time to make difficult decisions and hopefully age in place. But how do we do that? How do we do that responsibly and sustainably as cities around, not just in Gahanna, but around the country look to develop and redevelop responsibly and sustainably. So I appreciated the conversation. Katie White, Director of Age Friendly Innovation Center at the Ohio State University College of Social Work, as well as Dr. Holly Holtzen, the State Director of AARP Ohio, carried the conversation that was facilitated by Director Ursula McElroy of the Ohio Department of Aging. And the conversation looked at building accessible housing, zoning restrictions, and where do we put age-friendly housing and transportation so that residents can age in place. Lastly, I do want to thank all of our visitors here this evening. It's been my pleasure to get to interact, especially with the Gahanna Green neighborhood over the past few weeks. On this issue, I certainly thank everyone for coming down to council. I want to thank the administration for putting the agenda, the item on the agenda last week for the Committee of the Whole. For those who have not, I would urge you to view that on the city's YouTube page. It's a good conversation, and I learned some things. I think everybody here on the dais learned some things, and would urge folks to take a look. There was one piece, Mayor, one amazing thing that came out of that conversation was you mentioned that you'd reached out to County Engineer Cornell Robertson's office, and correct me if I'm wrong, they had not had the Clark State Road on their 10-year project, but they were going to look at a feasibility. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Sure, yes. So I had reached out, after getting several residents' emails, I had reached out to the Franklin County engineer. He had just shared with me that he had just completed his 10-year capital improvement plan. This Clark State, any aspect of that was not on their 10-year CIP. However, he agreed that he would have his office do a study to look at what would be involved in whether it's a multi-use trail. That's what we're looking at. And again, keeping in mind that the Franklin County Road portion goes all the way from basically Peace Lutheran all the way up to that Hannah Park, Headley Park area. So they will take a look at that. I think I shared that I thought that would be this year. I need to confirm that. Just want to make sure that I spoke to that correctly. That was my understanding when I talked with him, but I do want to confirm that with him so I don't get in trouble with him for committing his staff to something inappropriately. But I thought he said that would be done at some point this year, and then he would share that with us, and then we could look to again, as we're aligning and creating our own very first long-term capital improvement plan, how that project might fit in there, and in conjunction also with the development of the active transportation plan.
Thank you, Mayor, for clarifying and for the additional info. So as I said, please go online to the city's YouTube page, take a look at that, at the meeting from last week, and continue to be a part of the conversation. I think everyone's door here is always open. As the mayor said, with the cities and regions focus on interconnectivity, these conversations are going to continue to be very important. And so once again, just thank you for coming down. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. Snutzer.
Thank you, Mr. President. I guess at the risk of sounding a bit repetitive here, I want to echo some of my colleagues' sentiments as well. John, I suppose congratulations are in order, though it is very bittersweet to see you go. The city of Worthington is getting a good one, and I hope they recognize that. I guess I'll just say thanks. I mean, you know, not only our personal, or I should say professional relationship, but also I know I've called you out to the property to, you know, take care of some things as well. And you've been nothing but the consummate professional, you know, every single time. And most importantly, you know, this community has really benefited from your expertise and your dedication. So that's something I think you should be proud of as a person when you walk out that door. I refuse to say goodbye. I'll say see you later. I'm sure we'll cross paths again. And to the family and the friends of Bobby Burba, you know, my condolences. You know, I knew Bobby, you know, both personally and professionally. Always had a big smile and a warm heart, and yet another individual that left an incredible mark on this community. And you know, we should all be so lucky to have left a legacy such as hers. That's all from me.
Thank you. Ms. Bowers.
Well, let me start by thanking all of you who are in attendance tonight. I appreciate the community advocacy that came out tonight in support of improving walkability and accessibility. And thanks again to Director Farrell and the administration for the presentation last week, particularly around the active transportation plan and the update on Big Walnut Trail. There's a lot of walkability improvements that we can see across Gahanna, and I'm grateful that we have some of those in motion currently, and I think many more coming. So thank you for advocating on behalf of your own neighborhood. It is an important aspect of what we do here in local government, so thank you for being here. Also, it was our honor to put together the Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month resolution. I believe, and I know Mrs. Angelou will correct me if I'm wrong, but this was the first time that we have done this, and we thought that it was very important to do that this year. Asian American Pacific Islander population has very much been in the media and in our awareness in a heightened way in the last several years, in some very positive ways and in some very unfortunate ways. First, we have some great things going on in the community. In Central Ohio, increased population of Asian American Pacific Islander, particularly our Bhutanese and Nepali population in Central Ohio. But we also know that hate crimes among Asian Americans against Asian Americans have increased, especially over the last 2.5 years. And so we want to make sure that we are honoring and recognizing our neighbors and making sure that you know that you belong here, and we honor what you give and what you contribute to our community. In addition to May being Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, it's also Older Americans Month. Councilmember Weaver already spoke a bit about what we talked about what we heard about at the Columbus Metropolitan Club's weekly luncheon on being an age-friendly community. In part of that, you know, what I thought was wonderful is that we talked a lot about the same issues that we hear about in every type of demographic community, transportation and housing being two of the biggest ones. The overlap of how housing particularly impacts our older Americans and our older neighbors is a really critical issue, and one that we know that we have to deal with here. There's all kinds of layers to this, the intel development, the growth of the region in general, interest rates and accessibility to materials and how that's creating some difficulties in creating housing. But thinking about what we can do as a community. And I really appreciate, I believe it was Ms. Parker, gave us a cheerlead here. She said that we need to think creatively, and that we are here, we're elected to think creatively and think about how to be problem solvers. And so thinking about how can we do that, what do we have control over? Can we make some zoning changes? Can we educate and talk more about and destigmatize multifamily housing for our community so that we can really contribute to housing in a really meaningful way for older Americans in particular, as thinking about it through that framework, but also for immigrant population, thinking about AAPI population as well. So just a lot of things for us to be working on, a lot of projects going on here, and a lot of lenses that we need to make sure that we're viewing all of these types of projects through. And I know that they're all important to everyone up here and everyone who is here tonight too. So again, thank you. Let me also say on a little bit of a different note, my husband is watching and he is at work. It is also EMS week, Emergency Medical Services Week. My husband is a 20-plus year veteran, first responder paramedic, and I want to make sure that in addition to thanking our police officers as it being Police Honor Week, it is also EMS week. So thank you to those who are serving, who are first responders, both in our fire and standalone EMS departments. I will conclude echoing Mr. Schnetzer's comments. Mr. Moorhead, we are going to miss you. You have been an asset to this community. I know you saw Rathburn Woods from a different perspective than I am seeing it now. And the fact that you grew up here, you knew what this community was 20 years ago and longer, and you know what it looks like today and how to serve it has been really important to your job and how you're interacting, not just from a technical perspective, but also from a very human perspective. And we are going to miss that. I'm sure, Ms. Ridge, you will do an amazing job. You have big shoes to fill, but we are already looking forward to working with you and know you will serve our community just as well or better than Mr. Moorhead. Mr. Moorhead, good luck in Worthington. That is a great community as well. And again, my condolences to the friends and family of Bobby Burba, and also a lot of gratitude with all that she had going on, all the public service, the career. You know, it takes a family and friends to be able to support someone in doing that. So in reflecting on Bobby's life and all that she was able to give, I want to send condolences and gratitude to her family and friends. And with that, I will conclude. Thank you for indulging me in a bit of a longer spiel tonight.
Thank you. I'm going to pick up Mr. Moorhead. It really, when the mayor first told me that you were leaving, it really broke my heart. You have been a valuable asset to all the points that my colleagues have already stated. One of the things in particular, not only is your engineering expertise, but your ability to talk to members of the community. Whether they liked what you said or not, you always held yourself true to form. And you stood by your engineering principles, you stood by what's in law, and then you helped try to build a bridge with residents all the time. That is not something that everybody can actually do, but I'm just deeply indebted to all the engineering projects, especially on the west side with the sewer projects that you and Grant are doing. And then the sidewalk projects. Those in particular have been monumental for our city. But then there have been a litany of other issues. Flooding is another one. And again, sometimes the answers is good, sometimes the answers are bad. But you held yourself very well. And again, thank you. Ms. Ridge, you did a phenomenal job. Monday, the last Monday when we had, and you presented yourself very well with authority, and congratulations in stepping up. And my impression is already well regarded in that you have really, again, followed what Mr. Moorhead did, is you presented the information. You're appeasing and trying to build that bridge to residents, and thank you again. And we look forward to many, many, many more reports from you, so thank you. All the residents that came and talked about trails and sidewalks and what have you, thank you so very much. I hope you did get to see our YouTube meeting about a week ago on this, and I think we had a very good and informative discussion. But one of the things I said there, and I want to say again, is the value. I think my colleagues have said this, and Ms. Bowers in particular, highlighting the fact that of your engagement. That is one of the most pivotal things in local government, is being engaged and saying, hey, by the way, check this out. We've heard a diversity of issues, from a small 2,000 foot to another connector to Creekside to another very long and very expensive idea about going up Clark State Road. All of them are equally important. I know that Director Farrell and the mayor have actually been already understanding and trying to look at these. I direct you to Morpsey's Rapid 5, which does highlight a lot of the connectivity, not to the granularity that you're speaking of, but it is definitely foremost on our mind. And you've heard tonight about what types of actions, and so we're going to get there. So, but again, thank you so much for your input. To all the residents, the AAPI group, thank you. As I already iterated, I've felt like a kindred spirit to you in many ways, and most of you know what I mean by that. But I thank you too, because you have invited me into your sanctuary, your places of worship, and into your homes. You have taught me your customs, your traditions, and you've shared food with me. That's always a winner. But it really, it wasn't just opening my eyes, because it's a world that I already knew existed, but I thank you so deeply for the welcoming attitude. And Gahanna is enriched by your presence, definitely. And so it's an inclusive society that we have here in Gahanna, and maybe someday we can have an international food festival or something, and I wish and I hope that all of you could actually lend your skills to that, because I think that we can actually do that, do something special here in Gahanna. A lot of our colleagues have actually talked about Ms. Bobby Burba, and I'm going to tell you a little story about her. Believe it or not, it's been so long, I first got engaged with the city back in 2007. And one of my first meetings was actually meeting with Councilwoman Angelou and Bobby and Sadiqa White, and understanding the frame of things that have gone on and what have you. But Bobby was always, she had a welcoming, joyful spirit to her. And when I found out that she lived on the west side, I actually used to visit her. And every neighborhood's got these characteristic, people. You have a cat lady somewhere. You have the person that are always looking out their window and wanting to call, Gahanna PD. Bobby and you can go by her house, she was very eclectic, and she had a beautiful yard with glass ornaments and a bench. And she was always inviting, always sitting down in her yard. And I've watched many of her shrubs and flowers grow tall, and her trees over the years. But more importantly is the conversation and the connectedness that I always had with her. And I am going to definitely miss that side of being able to connect and talk. One of the things I just wanted to briefly mention is that council is going to present a flag, a Gahanna flag, and we have it. It's been embroidered with Bobby's name, and that she was a dedicated and joyful public servant. And Karen and I are going to the graveside and present that to her mother tomorrow. And that's all I have. Thank you thank you again, and have a very good night.
Mr. Chair, Mayor,
Yes, I'm sorry.
what Thursday is that meeting on Intel. Is it this Thursday or the next?
It is next Thursday, the
Next
26th. I was actually just
Okay.
emailing Councilman Weaver for his meeting tomorrow to share details on that. So, yes, next Thursday, the 26th at 4 o'clock.
Thank you.
Do I have a motion adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you.